Hello, Peekers. Welcome back. It's Miranda.
And I'm Mackenzie, and this is your one-stop shop for storytelling.
Tea spilling.
And to keep up with all the latest book talk drama that you have been missing out on.
Woo! Hey, we are officially starting the new book, Throne of Glass. It's part of the Throne of Glass series, obviously. You guys have been listening. We went over Assassin's Blade. And now we're getting into the meat of the stories.
Yes, and if you are tuning in without having already read Assassin's Blade, we'll try not to give too many tie-in spoilers from that book if you're reading it third or fourth. But just know if you want to go back and listen, those are available now for you, streaming on your favorite streaming platforms.
Woo-hoo! Anyways, yes, I am so excited to get into this because I have not been able to stop thinking about ACOTAR. Coming off of that and going into Assassin's Blade, no hate to it. I mean, I know it's got its purpose, but I was pulling my eyeballs out, essentially.
I feel like Assassin's Blade is the first season of The Office. If you love The Office, going back and reading Assassin's Blade, after you've read the whole series, it's so beautiful. It's so wonderful. You see all the little threads of everything tie back in. It makes sense after you've already read the books. But in my head, I'm like, it's so important for the story, but you don't see it in the beginning. It's so hard to get through. It's so slow to get through.
But whenever you do get into Throne of Glass, it's boom, go. There's something on every page, I feel like, and I love that kind of story.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of people actually say that it took them a while to get into Throne of Glass. I think a lot of people said too that it was that was their first book, and not having read Assassin's Blade. For me, reading Assassin's Blade and then going into Throne of Glass, I was like, finally, some excitement, some action, blah, blah, blah. So if you're also reading this as your first book and you're still waiting for it to pick up, it does pick up. I think if you did come off the tail end of Assassin's Blade and are reading this now, though, it's got a whole lot more. A lot more action.
Okay, so for this episode specifically, we're going to be going over chapters 1 through 10 of Sarah J. Maas's book, Throne of Glass. And if you don't want any spoilers, why are you here?
You're in the wrong place, baby.
Yeah, we're going to be telling the entire story as we go.
But also, please stay.
But yeah, and if you also have any comments or concerns, leave us comments or concerns.
TikTok, plot.peak, Instagram, plot.peak, or you can send us hate mail at plotpeakgirlies@gmail.com. But please don't, because we are sensitive.
We are sensitive, and we will cry. Girlies. And also, we might throw you out there.
We will block you.
Anyways, moving on. So if you guys have any other questions or concerns, just let us know. But let's go ahead and get into the story.
All right, Peekers. So if you are tuning in this week and you have not listened to the Assassin's Blade episodes because you're reading Throne of Glass first, that is perfectly acceptable. I just wanted to give you a little snippet about what you might have missed since we talked about the main character in detail before we recorded this episode. So the main character's name is Selena. She is an assassin, and this story takes place with her being sent to the salt mines of Endovier, which is a slave camp. She was basically convicted for being an assassin. She was caught by the royal kingdom, and the king sent her to the salt mines. Typically, people only live a short amount of time in the salt mines because it's such harsh conditions, which we'll touch on a little bit more. But she has lasted a year, and that's where this story picks up. Selena is a girl's girl. She is a fancy queen. She is everything. She is very passionate, very strong-willed, very strong-headed. And she also is an excellently trained assassin. She's very young. At the time this story picks up, she's about 18 years old, and she has lived a life as an assassin. She has been trained as an assassin since she was about 8 years old. Her master kind of caretaker, Arabin, we'll talk more about him as he comes back into the story if he does, but basically he trained her up as an assassin from the time she was 8 years old. He found her on a riverbank and took her in at the fall of the empire. Basically, she is from a place called Terrasin, and Terrasin was
the northern part.
Yeah, the northern part of this whole continent of Irelia. And Aderlin is where this story will take place. It's basically a country that has taken over the rest of Irelia. We'll talk more about it as we go, but we just wanted you to be up to date in case you missed the initial background from Assassin's Blade. But again, we're going to take you through the whole story. We just wanted to make sure you knew who the main character was, since we didn't talk about her in depth in this episode.
Right. We're going to introduce some new characters because, like we said, everything just kind of jumps going. Like, we find our character and everything just starts going. So we're going to meet Dorian Havillard. Dorian is the Prince of Arlington.
Adeline.
I have read this book, I swear. Okay, I'm a new reader. Give me a break. Okay, Dorian is the Prince of Aderlin. So he is literally the son of the king, of the conqueror of this place. And he is very handsome. We know that much. He's about 18, 19 years old.
Handsome boy.
And yeah, so he's the prince. And then Kale is his best friend. And Kale is like the captain of the royal guard. So he's like the top honcho in the guards.
And he's young.
And he's
too.
young as well. He's like 20, 21, 22, something like that. And then there's Duke Parrington, who we also have bad vibes about. And he is like this frumpy old guy. And like, I would describe him as like power hungry. He's like the king, where he likes to just be authoritative and like make people do things. Then we have Lady Kaltane.
Yeah, that's...
I keep spelling her name Caitlin. And that's also how I'm saying her name. So if I say Caitlin, I meant Kaltane.
We'll cut it and be like Kaltane. If you hear random cuts of words, it's because
I can't pronounce things. I can't read, honestly. So I don't know why I'm telling the stories.
Yeah,
but
she actually learned how to read this year.
And I'm making these up. I'm kind of just like picking up
right?
on big words, and then I'm making up most of the story as we go.
It's late bloomers.
Yeah. It's cool.
It's a place for everybody.
And then we have another person named Kane, and Kane is like this ex-soldier guy, and he's huge, and he's scary. And that's all I'm going to tell you right now. Okay, so let's just refresh where we ended off. Selena was sent off to the salt mines as her punishment for all the killing she's done and wreaking havoc in Aderlin, and the king is like, yeah, you got to go over here. This is your punishment for those things. Anyway, she gets sent off to the salt mines, and even though the life expectancy there is usually about like a month because conditions are so terrible, the overtakers or the overseers are really mean to their slaves, she survives a whole year. And she, obviously, whenever we meet her again, she's like withered away. She's half the girl that she used to be. You can't even tell she used to live a life of luxury. She's skinny. She's got lacerations all over her back. She's bruised. She's got chains all over her. And we hear that she's tried to escape one time. Mm-hmm. And that was a very notable escape that we will get into later.
Part of the reason she also has survived this long is because whenever... Basically, we won't tell too much about the Assassin's Blade part of it, but basically she had asked for her fate to be make my death quick, and they did not grant her that. He said, I will keep you alive as long as possible. And so, though she was still getting beat to hell and all the things, they were doing everything in their power to keep her alive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's just kind of sad on that part, because it's like, make her torture, make her suffer. It's so sad. So she is working in the mines one day, and then all of a sudden this man grabs her arm and like pulls her away and is like taking her through this building. And she's like, whoa, sir, take me out to dinner first, you know? And she's like, who are you? She's sizing him up. She's like, I could definitely take him. Like, even though I'm 60 pounds, I could probably kill him. Which we love, the confidence girly. She's like,
yeah, and Jovier did not kill her spirit. We'll say that. Baby girl still got to fight her spirit.
She really does, and I love that for her, because I probably would be on the floor.
I'd be like, just
kill me.
Let me go.
Just let me go.
I'm not meant for this life.
Seriously. So she gets pulled through this like building. It's like a grand little, I don't know what, it's a building. And they're like trying to confuse her, taking her down all these aisles and stuff. And she's like, you guys are so silly. Like, I've been trained for this.
And she's like, I have lived here for a year. Are you an idiot? I've already memorized everything.
She's like, you guys are so dumb, but we'll go along with it, and we'll see how this plays out. She gets brought into this huge, like, ballroom almost, I guess is how I imagine. It's very elaborate, very bougie looking, and there's lined up with royal court. And ahead of her is Dorian.
Dorian Havillard.
And she is like, holy smokes, this guy is so cute.
He's a handsome boy.
But she knows that he's the prince. Like, she can tell, like, he's the Havillard. And she's like, I hate that he is so attractive. Like, this is not how it's meant to be. I'm supposed to hate these people.
Yeah, she even says, she's like, it's really not fair for you to be royal and so attractive.
Beautiful. Yeah.
It's just not fair.
It's just not right. She's thinking all of this. She's not obviously saying it. And obviously, whenever everybody starts a meeting in the royal court, you're supposed to bow, pledge your allegiance, all that good stuff. She doesn't bow. She's like, do you guys see where I'm at right now? Do you guys see the condition I'm in? Do you think I'm going to bow to you? Mm-mm. So everybody else is bowing, and she's just standing there. And then Duke Barrington is like, ground, and like grabs her by the neck, throws her on the ground. He's like, you're going to bow to your king or your prince. And then Dorian is like, dude, that's so counterintuitive of what the purpose of a bow is. Like, literally a bow is supposed to be pledging your allegiance. It doesn't really count if somebody else is forcing that person to bow.
I love that Dorian had like the awareness to know that though too. I feel like in your head sometimes, even with some of these like fictional characters, they come off as so pompous and I am the king, I am the royal. Like, I love that he had like the wherewithal to be like, it's a sign of respect and she doesn't respect me. Like,
yeah, I love that. And he's like, and that's fine. He's like, I'm okay with that.
She's a slave here. Why would she?
Yeah. Love that. So she stands back up, and then she's like, what's going on? What are we doing here? And Dorian sends everybody out, and then he's like, all right, here's the tea. I'm going to tell you what's going on. My dad needs somebody to be a secret killer, essentially. And he's hosting this big champion, or like this big competition, and we're getting a bunch of champions to sponsor and be a part of this competition. And basically what they're going to do is like, it sounds like Hunger Games essentially. They're going to kind of do fights and challenges and get eliminated one by one. And then someone's going to be the king's champion and get paid really well. And then Selena's like, are you joking right now? Why are you here? Like, I am literally a slave. You think I'm going to come back and work for you guys? No way am I going to be doing that. And he's like, you didn't let me finish. I have a proposition. If you come and if you win, I will allow you to be free after 4 years of service.
That is tea. To think that you're going to live your life the rest of your life in the salt mines as a slave and then to be offered potential freedom.
And money again.
How could you pass that up?
By the king and stuff. And like, she's obviously pretty torn because like,
working for the king.
Yeah, she's like, that's literally the person I hate. But also, I will not survive here another year if I'm stuck in the salt mines. And that was pretty much what Dorian was saying. He was like, you can either stay here and not be a part of it, or you can try to compete and you can win and then you can earn your freedom. Or you can compete and lose and come back here.
What would you guys do? Would you, well, it's kind of a dumb question, but would you, like, let's say somebody really close to you or your whole family or whatever was killed by a person, and then you became a slave and you had the opportunity to be free, but you had to work directly under them and show them respect.
Oh God, that
is tea.
I would hate that.
I think obviously I would want the opportunity to be free, but to actually have to do that would be like gut wrenching.
Mm-hmm. So Selena's like considering it, and then she's finally like, fine, maybe I'll do this. And he's like, cool, but you're also going to have to play under an alias. So nobody can know who you are, because when you got sent here, all they know is Selena Sardothian got sent here. Nobody knows who you actually are yet. Your identity is still pretty hidden. So to make sure like you don't have a target on your back and people aren't like going for you, you're going to go under an alias, and we need you to play at like half your skill level, which is like so funny because Selena's like,
she's like, I'm better than everyone. Why would I do that?
Yeah, she's like, everybody needs to know how good I am.
She's like, I am Selena Sardothian.
She's like, how am I supposed to cover this skill up?
She said, everyone's going to know. I am the best.
So they agree to this, and Selena is getting treated really well. She gets cleaned, she gets a new dress, she gets food, she gets a bed. They all start to do their journey through the 2-week travel to get back to Rifthold. And as they're traveling, Selena and Kale, which is the captain of the Royal Guard, are basically shackled to each other. And she's like, the whole time is looking, she's like, I could probably just snatch this up real quick and run. Like, she's like sizing him up the entire time, and she's like, I could totally take him and run if I really wanted to. Like, she's like really hyping herself up. And then also on the other side of it, she's also trying to talk to Kale because she hasn't been able to talk in so long, like have a full conversation, because most of the people at the slave camp spoke a different language.
Yeah.
So she had to kind of figure all of that out too. So she's like, no, where are you from? What do you do? What do you think?
And he's like sitting there like rolling his eyes so hard. Like, can you actually shut up? Do you ever not talk? Like, shut up.
And it's so funny because like most of the other guards and like court people are like kind of annoyed with her and kind of talking down to her, being kind of rude. But Kale is just kind of like, I am the captain guard. I can't talk to you.
He said,
I cannot talk to you.
I am honorable and loyal. Why would I talk to an assassin?
He said, you need to sit down and leave.
He's like, shut up. Shut up.
Well, I thought that was so funny. I thought that was a cute moment. Like, Selena seems like a psycho, kind of. She's like,
no, she's definitely a crazy person.
But that would be me, too. If I was trapped for so long, I'm a talker. You guys know.
That's why we're here.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
I would be just like her. Anyways, so they're camping through the forest as they like get to their place and whatnot. And the specific forest that they end up stopping through on their journey is called Brandon's Forest. And this place used to be filled with magical creatures, filled with magical beings like fae, fairies, other little cutie pie little creatures. As they're camping here, Selena's in her little tent. She's shackled to another soldier on the outside of her tent, so she's got her little tent to herself. And they all sleep through the night. And when she wakes up in the morning, there's like little flowers along her bed, like little white flowers along her bed, and like little feet going in and out of her tent. And she's like, what the heck is this? Like, did anybody notice this? Like, what is going on? Like, I don't know what's happening. So she like picks up the flowers and covers up the footprints, and she goes out and she's like trying to see if anybody noticed anything.
It's like,
anybody see anything? And like nobody says anything, so she's like, I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut today, and I'm not gonna try to bring any attention to this because that is dangerous.
Yeah,
really dangerous. And then also along their journey, like throughout the nights that they're camping and whatnot, she still has her nightmares from everything that she's been going through, like her family's death, beatings, the slavery camp. Like, she's gone through a lot, right? So she's got PTSD and some nightmares. And she's waking up in the middle of the night. Dorian is like catching glimpses of her, and he's like, she's kind of cute, but like I gotta push that out of my head because she's an assassin. And Kale is also kind of like drawn to her personality, I think. Like, he's not so much focused on the physical part of it, but he's definitely attracted to her personality.
Yeah.
Which I love. And so then they get more comfortable, and essentially the boys are both like, okay, there's something more to her than just being an assassin, but they don't know her entirely quite yet. So they're like, we still got to keep our distance. Like, we still have to keep our heads on our shoulder. Let's keep it chill. And so far, Selena is also making her observations of everybody. She likes and respects Kale so far. She's like, I understand the position he's in, and I understand like what I'm probably putting onto him, so I get it, but he's being nice to me. Like, he's putting up with it, so that I'll tolerate that. And Dorian, she's seen him like argue with Duke Parrington, and he already stood up for her for not bowing, so she's like, he's different. Like, he's not like the king. I can already tell. So that was their first impressions of each other. They get into Rifthold, and there's this huge like parade as they come in, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, Dorian, because Dorian's like a playboy here. Yes. Everybody knows Dorian. He's so hot. He is like super big with the ladies. And so like there's this huge parade, and everybody thinks that he went on this mission to go find like a maiden or something like that.
And she's coming back, and she is like, well, let me just let my hair down.
Like, oh, gosh,
she said, I love
this is nice.
this attention. She said, well, I'm going to ride high on my horse then.
Yeah. She's like, I'm going to play into this, because everybody's like, oh my gosh, and like giving her dirty looks like,
that bitch. That bitch.
Who is that?
And then Kale looks over to her,
yeah,
and he's like, you
really?
look like an idiot. He's like, you look so dumb.
He's like, chill out. Seriously.
Just calm down.
You're still not
we get it. You're in love with yourself. Like, we get it.
So they go through they make that grand entrance, and everybody sees her come in. Dorian has to go face his dad now at this point, because he's like, his dad doesn't know who he picked as his champion. And Dorian did this for a couple of reasons. One, to spite his dad, because he kind of doesn't like him. Like, they're not seeing eye to eye. They are not really the same person. They don't even look alike, is what I understand.
Yeah.
And so he kind of got this competitor, or he got Selena because he wanted her to win. Like, he knows about Selena, and he's like, there's no one else who's going to beat her. Like, this would be top tier. And how upsetting would it be for the king to have her as the champion? He's like, this is kind of like backhanded. Like, yeah, I'll participate in this, but I'm going to do it my way.
Yeah. Well, and the king knows of Selena Sardathian. He is the one that sent her to the salt mines of Endovier. So I think the fact that Dorian's picking her also, it's just kind of like a F you, Dad. F you, Dad.
And then, so whenever he gets there, his dad is obviously annoyed, but he's like, well, there's also this competition going on amongst the court. So, like, they think, he's like, maybe you just did this for the prize money. But Dorian's like, no, I actually did this to get away. Like, I'm going to get the prize money and I'm going to get away. Like, that's his intention, is he wants to, like, space himself away from his dad a little bit.
But also, like, why does he need the prize money?
Yeah,
you know
he's
what I mean?
Prince.
He's a prince. He's not wanting for anything.
It just seems like, we'll get into his growth here in a second, but he really just was kind of doing his own thing. And then, so as we're talking, we hear the contrast between Dorian and the king, and we're learning that Dorian doesn't look anything like the king. He doesn't resemble personality. He doesn't have the same ambitions as the king. But his little brother, Holland, he does. His little brother is kind of like a terror. Yeah. Is what I understand.
Like a little mini tyrant.
And I get scared because, honestly, you guys know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Joffrey from Game of Thrones.
That's a great comparison. That's what he's not gotten to, like, the vicious, like, murderous side yet, but, like, he's described as, like a maid got, like, messed something up in his room or with his food or something, and he, like, beat the maid to hell, and, like, they had to, like, quietly cover it up, and, like, he just seems like an absolute loose cannon. And just think, if something were to happen to Dorian in the future, which we don't know, like, because we're so early in the books, Holland would be number one to rule.
Yeah, and so that's kind of like the illusion that I get. I'm like, I'm so scared because it sounds like he is a terror and he could be, like, a maniac, worse than the king. Ugh. And so he's actually off away at boarding school to kind of cover up this shabacle that happened with the handmaiden and whatnot. Like, they are like, he's got to go to boarding school so everybody can, like, forget about this, because it was a big deal. Everybody heard about it. Like, the entire town heard about it. Anyway, so while Dorian is talking to his dad, Kale is kind of giving Selena a tour of the castle. And they show her room. She's got this huge corridor. She's got, like a huge suite is how I would imagine it, basically. She's got a bedroom, a playroom, a dining room, bathroom. Like, it's nice. It's a nice little suite. And then they walk through the castle, and they're seeing, like, the original castle mixed with the glass castle, because the glass castle is built on top of the original castle that was there. So it's known as the stone castle first, and then the glass castle. So she's like, ew, this is so scary. Like, I would not want to be staying in here. And they're like, well, good thing your room is actually in the original castle.
It's so hard for me to imagine what the glass castle looks like. Like, I've seen, like, descriptive pictures, but basically, like, it looks a lot more, like, magnificent than even what you're imagining. Like, the stone castle on the bottom, like, it has, like, basement, cellar, and then, like, a couple of its levels. And then there's, like, multiple floors, bridges, towers of glass, and, like, there'll be certain areas where you walk across a bridge area and it's just glass, or, like, it's like,
sounds beautiful.
It sounds actually really beautiful. Yeah. Maybe in our podcast or on our social media, we'll share some, like, fan art of what, like, Sarah J. Maas imagined it and what we imagine it.
Yeah, that would be a good idea, actually. Yeah. Okay, so they're still walking through the castle. Kale shows her the royal library, what she's like, I love to read. Girl, same. We love a reader. Yes. Come listen to our podcast. If
Hit us
you guys
up,
ever
Selena.
get Spotify. Yeah. So anyways, so she sees the library. She's like, oh, I can't wait to get in there. But Kale's like, you actually can't go in there. You have to get permission from the royals, which is Dorian or the king. And she's like, we'll have to figure out that one. And so they keep walking. They go out to the gardens, and there's this, like, huge tower, like a huge clock tower with these gargoyles that are, like, pointing at things. Yeah. And she's like, whoa, why would anybody build this? This is very like, scary. Yeah. It's like really killing the vibe out here.
This is not it.
This is whoever your interior
Glass
designer
Castle's
is.
Supposed to be beautiful. Like, what is this?
Yeah, you need to fix and fire whoever your interior designer is.
Get them out. Get them out of here.
But she's looking at these gargoyles pointing, and they're like doing this little thing. And then she's like, what are they pointing at? And then she looks down, and there's these, like, symbols all over the path of the garden. And it's not just, like, one or two. It's, like, a bunch of different symbols. And she's like, what the heck are these? Kale's like, I don't know. I'm like, how do you not know what these are?
Have you never asked? Do you have no curiosity?
That's something that I got stumped on. I'm like, how do you guys all live here and not know what these things, like, it's being drawn attention to. You got gargoyles pointing at them.
Yeah.
Maybe it seems more like a decoration kind of thing.
Yeah, and also
Maybe
like the stone castle area with the gargoyles and like the stone like gardens, they've been there for so long. I think that they've just been there and nobody pays attention. Drawn attention. I also think the king and like the royal palace in general is just a place where you don't ask questions.
Right, that's a good point. That's true. You don't want to draw any attention to any possibility of anything else.
And magic and everything is outlawed here. So even the mention of it, even the mention of something looking odd or something looking unique is like reason for treason.
That's so
that
crazy.
was a little rhyme there. Did you hear that? Huh? Reason for treason.
That was good.
Thanks. I came up with that on my own.
Wow. Sometimes we are just on fire.
Yeah.
What can I say?
What can I say? That's showbiz, baby.
Showbiz.
Wow.
Okay. So, Selena is just waiting around. So, they all get here. She's gotten the tour, and now she's waiting for the competition to start. There's going to be like a little group meeting that happens, and everybody's going to meet each other and get the explanation of the actual duel. And so she's waiting around, waiting for the champions meeting to happen, and she hears some fussing happening outside of her room window, like the balcony area. She's like, I hear some rustling, and she goes over and she looks, and there's this girl, this lady, and like her handmaids. They're like rushing up to the castle, and she's like talking all about Dorian. And she's like, what the world? She's like, God, I hope this dress looks good. Like, I really hope that Dorian finds me and, like, wants to take me somewhere private so we can talk. And then she's like, God, it's just so annoying that Duke Parrington is, like, kind of... She's basically saying that Duke Parrington is cock-blocking her. But the twist is she's in a relationship with Duke Parrington.
Yeah.
So that was the funny part. Like, she's like, oh, gosh, I really want to be alone with the prince, but Parrington is just always there.
And Duke Parrington is described as this, like... middle/older aged man, like
not anybody's cup of tea.
Not a cup of tea, like reddened face, like thinning hair, just like gross. Just kind of a gross old guy looking, like not like a handsome, respectable, like Duke. Kind person. Like in addition to him maybe not having the looks, he's also just an asshole. Mm-hmm. An asshole, an entitled asshole. So he doesn't have anything good going for him other than money and title.
Yeah. And so while Selena's getting the tea on Lady Caltaine, her situationship, she is also hearing about how she was there at the parade. And she was like, Dorian, did you see that girl that Dorian came in with? It's probably just another harlot, honestly. It's like no big deal. Like, I still have a chance probably. Like, I am a lady and she probably has no kind of name or lineage. Mm-hmm. So she's like, I think it'll be fine. I can probably still outshine her. And Selena's like, interesting. I don't even know this girl. She's talking trash about me already. Yeah. So what does she do? She throws a pot plant at her. A potted plant. She said,
just casually over the rail. She said, oopsies.
And it crashes right in front of them, and they all freak out. It's like one of those scenes where you're like, I don't know how to describe it, but it seems like a little sitcom scene wherever the main character does something crazy, and it makes the side characters go like, ah!
It's very, you can tell these girls and these young people, they're very young. Selena's just barely 18 or 19 now, maybe.
She's 18. She might be, 18.
Very young, very still, did you just say a bad name about me? Fine, I'm going to ruin your pretty dress. Just, very silly, but yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so Selena, she throws the potted plant at her, and she's like, you know what? That's not it. I'm going to put on my best dress, and I'm going to go walk around and run into her, and I'm going to show her what this harlot really looks like. So she gets dressed up to the nines. She has this beautiful dress on. She's got her makeup done. She's got her hair done. She looks to the tens, and she's about to walk out when Kale storms in. Kale's like, what are you doing? And she's like, what the heck?
I don't know.
I don't know. What are you doing?
What are you doing?
What's happening?
I'm scared.
I don't know. I'm just a girl. Look at me. And so he grabs her and he's like running with her through the castle. And he's like, the meeting's been changed. It's happening right now. And she's like, of course.
Well, now I look like a girly girl.
Yeah, she's like, this is not the impression I was hoping that people were going to see of me. But Kale was like, also, you look kind of pretty.
I said, I don't hate it.
You do look kind of
just
pretty.
maybe not the exact vibe that
we thought you were going to be.
Going to go for.
And so, yeah, he's running with her and he's like giving her all these pointers. He's like, do not talk back to the king. Say yes. Say no, like, be polite. Like,
don't look him in the eye.
Don't make a big deal of it.
Make sure you bow and wait till he gives you leave to stand up. Like, bow deep. Do not look him in the eye.
Yeah.
It's very intimidating.
It is. Yeah, I'm kind of scared for her because it's like
scared.
She's so sassy and like she's so sure of herself and like what she believes in, but also at the same time she's got to be able to protect herself. Like she's got to play the game if she wants her freedom. That's everything that runs through her mind this whole time. Is like, it doesn't matter what I want right now in this situation. I have no freedom. I have no say. I have to do what I have to do. Mm-hmm. And that's a really tough position to be in, I feel like. But so she gets to this room and it's like, it's another ominous room in the castle. It's kind of got like this green hue that she saw outside of the glass castle. So we see this green hue happen a lot. And so I don't know what the heck that could mean, but it's giving me spooky vibes and I don't know what to feel about it.
Yeah.
But that's something that she notices as soon as she comes in. All the other champions kind of look at her and size her up because she's like a little pretty girl. And then the king explains the competition. It was giving Lord Farquaad vibes. He's like, some of you may die. And that's a sacrifice that I'm willing to make.
Lord Farquaad vibes with like actual menace.
Scary.
Looks.
Yeah. Don't imagine Lord Farquaad. It's definitely not Lord Farquaad.
But personality,
yes.
Maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's like, also, I'm not going to be here during this time. So I'm going to be out doing something else, but I will be back for the final duel. So if anything goes down, I will know about it. And I have other people keeping me informed on what's going on.
And he basically is like, if you step out of line, you die. If you try to escape, you die. He's like, if you do anything to disrespect me, disrespect the kingdom, you die. So
do with that what you may.
So have fun. It's going to be great. Can't wait to see who's my champion.
Think of it like a camp, right?
Yeah, summer camp where if you make one mistake, you're dead. Cute.
Okay, let's go. Okay, so after the meeting, Dorian, he storms out before everybody else. And then Kale and Selena meet up with him in this little passageway. And that's where Selena learns of her new alias name. She's known as Lillian Gardonia or Gardania.
I thought it was Gordina.
So she's Lillian, and her story is she is like a pickpocketer, essentially. And Dorian was traveling through the area close to where the salt mines were over the summer, and that's where he found her trying to steal his stuff. And then he learns that she was sent there from her father, because her father is a rich merchant and he's a widow, and he found out about her pickpocketing problems and sent her away and cut her off from money and everything. So that's why she's still pickpocketing, because she's poor and she's away from her family. Yeah. And then so Dorian's going to say oh, I caught her trying to steal my stuff, so I'm going to give you the option of either royal punishment or you can be my champion. So that's the story of how he found her.
Yeah.
And that's what she's going to go by. So that way nobody knows who she really is and nobody tries to off her off sooner than the others. And the whole time that they're talking and going over her role, her backstory and everything, the things that are going on in Selena's mind is he is so different from the king. He's still so handsome, and he's giving me these little flirty vibes at the same time. I can't help but to be kind of attracted to this attention, but also at the same time, why do I feel like he's just playing a game? Why do I feel like I'm just a pawn? And he's so excited about my backstory, so excited about me just keeping a low profile and surprising everybody at the end. She's like, this feels very for him.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about me. So she keeps going back and forth on his true feelings about her.
And I think that's fair. And I think we're going to see a lot of character growth arcs too. So I'm excited to see we're not going to tell you who's going to grow, but there's going to be lots of growth over the next couple books. So we're going to come back to these
What
themes.
kind of growth?
Don't worry about it.
Okay. Grower, not shower? Not what you mean?
That's actually exactly what I meant. Yeah.
Okay, so they're all having this little chit chat about the alias and whatnot, and then all of a sudden, Lady
Caltaine.
she comes up and she's like, "Hey guys," and like she barges in and like steps in front of Selena, and she's like, "Hey Dorian," like, and just like talking to him, and everybody's just kind of like, "Oh gosh,
And
this
he's
girl."
literally like,
It's so awkward.
she's like very much a pick-me girl.
Yes, that's
Pick-me
exactly
girl.
how she is. I was like, she's gonna be somebody that I love to talk about because she's so interesting and like annoying, but like there's got to be that character, you know.
The way we described Lysandra and the way we describe Caltaine, they
Kind of the same.
their personalities go hand in hand.
Yeah, I
Very
can
much
see
pick-me
that.
girls, like I've got to be better than you, blah blah blah. It's
Very
but
superficial.
Lady Caltaine also doesn't have anything really to rile Selena up, whereas Lysandra grew up with her and she
More
really
like of a sisterly
did.
vibe.
She really did.
So Lady Caltaine is talking to Dorian, and it's obvious that nobody really likes her. Dorian introduces Selena, aka Lillian, to Lady Caltaine. He's like, "Yeah, this is Kale's really close friend, and maybe she'll be my close friend too."
Oh.
And Lady Caltaine is like, "What the world is going on? That is not okay." She's like, "How long is she staying with us?" And he's like, "Oh, probably for a long time, maybe 4 years." And she's like, no. Like in her head, she's like, "This is not good. This is really not good." But being Lady Caltaine, being the proper lady she is, she turns around and she looks at Selena and she's like, "Maybe we should be friends." Fake bitch.
What a sniveling little snake.
Fake little girl. But Selena's like,
She said,
"Sure." And that's the end of that little section.
"Oh, we already finished. I can't believe that."
That was 10 chapters, yeah. So I have a couple of talking points, which we already kind of breezed over, so we can go into depth a little bit more about these if we want. We talked about Holland giving Joffrey vibes. I'm really nervous for him to come. I don't think you guys understand. If you have watched
Game of Thrones. Yeah.
that little boy scared the shit out of me. He is a terror, and that is the vibes that I'm getting from. And I'm like, I'm so scared that something will happen to Dorian because Dorian seems like a really, really good guy and like the potential to be somebody that could go against the king.
Yeah.
Or like change the kingdom if the king were to die. Like, I'm just nervous that Holland is going to be the next villain or something like that. I'm just so scared. He's like a little boy.
So is that a prediction for you?
Yeah.
That's okay. So we're starting a new little segment at the end of our series. Since this is Miranda's first time reading the books, we're going to have her make a couple little predictions about what she thinks might happen.
Yeah, because I'm like writing these all up as I'm reading. So these are pretty like live notes that I'm writing. So I write as I go, and then I'm going to start talking about my predictions. But yeah, I do feel like Holland is going to be a bad guy at some point. Something tragic is going to happen to Dorian, and Holland is going to be crazy.
It definitely has potential for that. I'll say neither yay nor nay. I'll neither say yes nor no.
That's good.
Words are hard these days. Can we also talk about the little flowers Selena found all around her while sleeping? Like, what do we think about that?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I think that, so there's a couple of things. She saw that stag on the way up there. Mm-hmm. She's in the forest that is close to where she's from. Mm-hmm. And she also has had an affinity with, like, these animals, apparently, like, with Dorian's animals, like the hound dogs and stuff. So I don't know if that's all connected of, like, some type of spirits to, like, creatures.
It's a really unique part. Like, why would that?
I thought that was going to be something bigger, but it hasn't, like, come back up yet. So that's why I haven't thought much about it.
No, and that's the thing. Even if something hasn't come up yet, we don't know. We've got so many books ahead. I just thought that was a really interesting point when I was reading through it. I was like, that doesn't make any sense to me.
But it makes it allude to there is something magical going on. There is something.
Well, it was a magical forest, so we don't know what that means, what that could mean for, like, are they trying to protect her? Like, is it like a sign of respect, or like a sign of, like, we see you, being taken away, like we saw you as slaves? There's just a lot of different ways we could go with it. Yeah, I almost see it as, like, being a little symbol for her to, like, you're on the right path, like something's happening, like, because she seemed stressed by it too. She was like, I don't want anybody to see this. So we don't know why. It was scary.
And then there was another thing that popped out in this passage. It was like the clock tower was also built around the time of Dorian's birth. I don't know if that really means anything, but I have a feeling that Dorian is tied to this clock tower in some way. And I don't know how, but I just have a feeling there's something to do with that.
The clock tower is talked about a lot in like passing throughout the first book and throughout the first few chapters. Like it's a huge focal point, even being in the glass castle, which already is like an eyesore anyway. Like the clock tower it's something.
Yeah, there's something going on there for sure. You wouldn't be having a big old tower like that for no reason. But anyways, do you have any other comments or concerns so far about this passage?
I don't think so. Next episode, we're going to be going through Throne of Glass chapters 11 through 24.
Yeah, so we hope you guys enjoyed this week's plot, and we'll take a peek
next week.
Bye.
Bye.